So today, for part two of Are You Free, I would like to talk to you about toxic people. Oh, goodness. When I think about toxic people, I think about like people that are just not healthy for me. So I even was doing a little research for y'all and made me some little notes, probably for the first time of doing talks and shit like that. But I was like, it was such some good information. A lot of times we think of toxic people, we may have our own definition of it, but there's some specifics that I want to share with you today about toxic people. One of the things that it said about toxic people is they drain you, they can be manipulative, and they are self-centered people. So those are some of the behaviors that we have to recognize when we're thinking about, is this person toxic to me? When I think about toxic people, they come in all shapes and forms, colors and everything, right? It could be family, friends, it could be co-workers, it can be whoever. Anybody can fit that picture. We have to make sure that we are not allowing ourselves to be surrounded by toxic people that drain us or manipulate us, or all they think about is themselves. One of the things that it said, they lack accountability. So when I think of people not being accountable for their own actions, that looks like a person that refused to apologize, twist facts, and play the victim, okay? Always find a way to blame others for their mistakes. When I was even reading out some of this research, I was checking myself because I'm like, I don't want to be a toxic person to people because I do make mistakes, but I try my best to hold myself accountable. Probably more than not. Like, I probably take on more blame on myself than I even deserve. But that's just the way that I am. When I think about people that refusing to apologize, think of the last time that somebody owed you an apology and you never got that apology. That doesn't always feel good because we know they should be apologizing, but it's like they refuse to. I had a situation at work like that happened to me a couple of weeks ago, and I was big enough to apologize. I showed them that, look, I'm done. When I say something, I say what I gotta say, and I'm done, and I move on. And this person attacked me, I could probably say, but verbally, and I never got the apology. But guess what? I already know them. They are not a person that they lack accountability. So if that's that person, that's how they are, then I'm like, okay, toxic person, I see you, check you off, know where to put you. And that's what we have to recognize. When we notice those things, we have to be careful where we place those people in our lives. You have to put them in a category by themselves and handle them as such. Another thing that it says is boundary violations. They overstep limits, manipulate to get their way, and often get angry or guilt trip you when you say no. So when you have those clear boundaries in your life and healthy boundaries in your life, you have to stick to them. Not everybody is okay with you saying no. And if people don't want to accept your no and not take it personal, then again, you have to know which category to put that person. We all should have healthy boundaries in our lives. I didn't realize how unhealthy boundaries I had until my therapist pointed it out to me. So that's something you have to reevaluate yourself and see. Like, are you saying yes, yes, yes when you really want to say no, no, no? Because if you are, then that's an unhealthy boundary that you've placed in your own life, and you are not setting proper boundaries for yourself. So you have to switch that up sometimes. When you want to say no, but say yes, that ain't good. When you want to say no, period. And whoever is upset because of the boundary that you have placed in your life, you know where to place them, okay? Another thing it said, they manipulate and control. They use passive-aggressive tactics, give silent treatments, or use love bombing early to establish fast and unhealthy attachments. So when I think about that, the silent treatment, oh my God, we can't be using the silent treatment to manipulate people to get what we want. If you're going to give somebody the silent treatment, do it because you need time for yourself, not doing it to get back at someone or being malicious about it so you can get what you want. We have to pay attention to these signs, y'all. Another thing it said, they're constantly negative and they're full of drama. Okay? Think about those people. I think we all can think of somebody that is like that. Lord, if I'm that person, help me, Jesus. When they say that, it says they thrive on conflict, are highly critical of other people, and constantly having conversations with their own problems. They're always talking about themselves and their own problems and everything they're dealing with. You know what? My thing is this. I get so drained with people that always want to talk about their problems, but don't never want to fix them. Like, ugh. My therapist literally told me a couple of weeks ago, she was like, you have to understand, you are the type of person that somebody come to you with a problem, you want to help them to fix the problem. That's how I am. If I got a problem, I need to fix it. But y'all, certain people just want to talk about the problem, and never want to fix it. If you have a problem, you need to find a solution. And some people are just not willing to find a solution. So guess what? We know where to put those folks at. Push them over. That's some toxic people. They want you to be there to hear them, support them, but you can't always support people that are not willing to change. Amen? And the last thing I want to talk to you about, it says they are emotionally draining. Okay? Interacting with them leaves you feeling constantly confused, defensive, or like you have to walk on eggshells. So when I think about people that emotionally drain me, y'all, I'm not even going to lie. A little skill the Lord taught me. I check out. Like literally. Don't tell me to reframe what you just said, because I done checked out. And that is something that a lot of times when people bring on all their burdens on you, all of their problems, and they don't want to find a solution, it's draining. And if a person is constantly calling you, talking to you, and it's always about everything that's going wrong, they need to realize there is a lot going right. But when they're toxic, we have to put them where they belong and stop putting them so close to us that we allow them to suck the life out of us. So my question to you today would be, have you examined the possibility of having toxic people in your life? That's a food for thought. Hit rewind if you got to hear those little pointers again. But evaluate those relationships in your life and recognize people for who they are. Amen? Amen. So today I leave you with this. Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 20. And it says, he that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. So before I go, I just want to remind you, if you haven't already, check out my website at www.talkswithshay.org. You can subscribe to my videos on YouTube and find me on Facebook. Like my page, share my page, invite your friends to like my page. And until next time with Talks with Shay, Shay is out. Y'all stay blessed.